Коллеги, всем так, раз.
Good afternoon, dear colleagues. Thank you for coming here. Today we will have a mixed format of a round table. We have our online speakers as well. So 2 minutes and we will start. Okay?
Коллеги подсказывают, что
My colleagues say to me that every participants are gathered. Thank you again for your interest. I hope that our discussion will be honest, open, and I'm sure that we will try to find answers to many questions. Those who were today at the plenary session, I will repeat that. So I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Alexander Smikalin. I'm the director of the Association of Innovative Regions of Russia. It includes 18 regions of our country, from the south to youth, from west to east. The regions that want to make difference, that want to develop, to try something new, to risk. Those regions that actively develop economy nowadays. Many regions. So if I speak numbers, so 30% of all the production that is produced in our country are by Association of Innovative Regions of Russia. Today I'd like to discuss venture capital. It's not an easy topic to discuss, and the question of innovative development is not easy, but we live in the country where the government plays an important role in economy, business. We know that largest players of the market, of all markets, are the companies that are connected to the government. We know that largest customers are the government, and there is a request to innovative production. So we have this request, this inquiry, interest, but this interest is not as high as in other countries, and it affects. So this is just a hypothesis. We will discuss it. We understand that some markets, historically, they are just in the beginning stage now, and venture market and innovation market, they are not developed so good. We all remember that in 2011-2012 years, they suggested the regions to make venture capital, and they were ready to invest in that, and they created the funds, and there were created more than 10 funds, and now we have only 3 of them. 3 funds that now work, free funds that today have both positive and negative experience, but they stay on the market. Besides, if we talk about the rest of the market, we have private venture funds, so their activity decreases. And in 2022, in 2023 years, we had some decrease in that area, twice decrease. So we have this market of venture capital. It was 1 billion. It's not so much. What to do with that? If whether we have some steps here in order to improve it, we will discuss it today. Today we have here representatives from startups, of universities, and representatives of venture funds, both from abroad and of our country. And in the beginning, I would like to give the floor to Kirill. So, Kirill Vladimirovich, are you with us? Yes. Thank you. So, the question is both difficult and easy. Now you are the key leader of the largest university of our country that include different actors, both educational, financial. So, what are you focusing right now? How do you see the further steps in that situation? Whether global trends can be applied in our country, or do we have our own path as always? So please tell us more about it. Thank you. Thank you, Alexander. I will start my speech with those realities of the market. You have already mentioned about one trend, so prompt decrease of venture direction. If we talk about the model of venture financing, I can say that the model that is in Russia, that was supported by the government of Russia, this model was based on successful American model. But there are two key factors that didn't allow this model to develop. First of all, this is about a lot of money. So people from the West, they are ready to invest a lot of money. And the second factor is the structure of economy. It differs here in Russia. We have here high concentration of economic segments, including the shares that are the government shares.
Of the good competition, but as I said before, there are not enough money and funds that not allow to fund money freely with other economical agents. Taking into consideration that there are colleagues that will take a participation in our discussion. Thanks. I would like to thank them, the state, for the help they provided to us, and at some measure, unfortunately, highly successful projects left Russia and Federation. But you have to probably to orient to the structure of the Russian economy. Unfortunately, innovations are not going to be born on themselves. And all the question is about investments and where to get them from. And the scientific researchers and the growth of the scientific knowledge. And if some people gonna criticize me that it's not enough, it's okay. But it's thanks that we were able to return the trends back. We have some works on it. We wanted to make more, but we can find the places where we can invest money into. But the question is, who's going to be investment? Is this going to be a free agent or a free fund? And where it's going to go further? The question is open. And from the point of view of the investments, investments will be under the control of the huge partners and the companies that they're gonna give us separate units for the early stages, and that's the way that significant amount of new developments and new STV that is under development is underway. Is complex technical expertise approach to DTech, and DTech has on its basis the market B2B project, not B2C. And what we do and how can we support? Anyway, we are not a commercial organization. We are not the organization that belongs to state, but nevertheless, institutionally, our role is support the technological entrepreneurship. And it's not possible to do it without investments. And there are some measures that we suggest to the earlier stages company and some later stages company that allow to support them. Thanks to Skolkovo and thanks to the federal law, we were able to appear in the tax-free heaven. And on the development stages of the development of the projects, allowed to receive additional tools, thanks to Ministry of Defense, thanks to Ministry of Finance and Industry, thanks to every ministry that took participation in this work. The example of such work for the developers are involvement of private investors, consolidation of the private investors on the early stages of the projects. They were thanks to subsidiaries of the Ministry of Economy that allow us to return, get a cash back like to 50%. For the projects of the early stage projects. That's the kind of the cashback for the tax payment, and it's under the rapid development, and we support probably in the volume of the investments is $500 million, and the next year is going to be more 700 million more, and we are on the early stages. Can support the aggregators of these projects. Thanks to Ministry of Defense, to aspirants and students and professors from the universities, that we are allowed to, and we are able to provide such a cashback and support such a startup. And such investments that do not belong to Skolkovo. And examples of tools are, for example, grants that we give grant to different students in the field of microelectronics, but that's kind of a private thing. And we are on the side of the huge customers, including the implementation of digital technologies and artificial intelligence. 50 million go to the electronics. For the artificial intelligence goes up to 100 millions, and was about the digitalization. There can be like couple of hundred millions. And when the venture investor makes decisions, state also gives additional support. And the support is oriented to the federal projects to reform the different economy branches. Besides Skolkovo Fund and Skolkovo Capital are the fund, and they're the leading company that rule a couple of funds, and not all of them get financed by the state. These are the huge and private investors, and that is a very rare event, is that cooperative investors like Russian railways also give funds to support the projects that can be highly demanded in the future. And gathering all the puzzles all together, we have different programs such as like mentoring, and the company allows to determine the investment funds. That is a very huge problem for the early stage companies, not from the point of view of the promise, but it's the demand of the good structurization of the demand. And if we take all the palette of the system of support in focus, we are focusing on in those fields. Thank you.
Thank you a lot. One more question. Whether the fund have these agreements with participation, with cooperation with a startup, how many such agreements do you have, if yes? Well, Fund Skolkovo is an institute of support. We cannot invent, since we finance and give great support to a big spectrum of companies. But we have the leading companies, several funds, and the amount of assets that the company have invested. So we have decades of companies. We are in the structure of web, and we work with the integration of web. So within the framework of this vertical, we make this set of projects. We focus on, for example, pilot vehicles or on the other markets.
And the leading company in the face of Skolkovo Capital, those activities are established and estimated. And in the frames of the investment platform, they gather a couple of startups, and the main activities are the grouping the integration system and giving the services on these products. And they will allow us to make some investments, and this is the future that will allow us to grow new technological leaders. Thank you very much, Kirill. Thank you for such presentation, but I suggest to go to the people that will do their work practically, and leaders of the innovational companies, to the founder of the head of the IV Systems, Viktor Vladimirovich Erivantsov. Communication with the huge international economical players, and how you were able to succeed, and what helped you, and what you wanted to make better.
Да, спасибо за вопрос. С удовольствием отвечу.
Thank you for the question, and I'll give you an answer with my pleasure. And our financial path is on the way still, and we started as a group of students that experiment with different technologies. In the center of the prototype center that was created in the cluster of in Ufa, we purchased different equipments, and we gave access to different students, and this equipment was the equipment of the future. We saw practical problems that were there on the different sources, like in the drone creators and the VR technologies and the robot technology, robotics. And the path was that we initially developed, including thanks to the UMI grant. It was 400,000 rubles. It's not the big money, but it's okay. It's allowed us to purchase different equipment, machinery, and we finished the coding, and we created different attractions to the VR. And these are were the first steps that gave us the direction that we accidentally created through our common relatives, that were potential investors that saw what we did, and it was a person from Europe. He was from Spain. He came to his partner in Ufa, and we showed him what we did in our office. He was really interested, and after a couple of hours of talking, we made an agreement. It's the classics of the venture business. Now, with the step 2, thanks to his money, we formed the concept of the future in the biggest scale that we wanted to produce for the Russian market. And thanks to their resources, we try to cover the international market. And as it appeared that technologies that we created are also has a high demand on the international market. They had no different tools for ruling, but they started watching. We had different expertise on the international probes, and we started closing the tasks how it is possible to interact with a virtual reality for a person. So the first prototype that we did, we made a decision, and we also understood that customers don't have, we don't have such customers in Russia, and still we don't have them. And thanks to our own strengths, we went to Vegas. And that's a huge electronic exhibition. We showed our technologies, and we gathered huge pool of international company leaders. We got acknowledged with the Huawei, Samsung, Intel, NVIDIA. All the leaders of the industry. They also work on the virtual reality, and they look for new technologies for the virtual reality. And so after the first exhibition in Las Vegas, at the end of 2017, we transferred to stage of the pilot integration of our decisions at the company, solutions, And thanks to the contracts with the HTC, we made it up in 2018. And on the base of our technology, they created the consumer goods that we spread all over the world, and they have sold more than 100,000 devices that were created thanks to our technologies by our guys. And after that, we closed a couple of more huge projects, and at the end, we went deeper for the integration with the ecosystem players, like a Qualcomm developers. We also wanted to integrate the Qualcomm chips and thanks to the chip technologies, clients of the Qualcomm also appeared to be our clients, and they also were able to test our own technology, and after they could give us a speech and to talk with us. And thanks for the time that we existed, thanks to the money of the investors, $2 billion were invested with the contracts that we also concluded. So from our experience of venture investment money in Russia. We didn't have those. We went straight through the hard way to the international market. You know, the normal path is usually you go at the home market, for example, in Russia, and then you go to the international market. So what showed best international practice experience? We went to made deals with the strategic buyers. We also could have made worked on the market if it existed in Russia, and thanks to our experience and thanks to the situation, that is current situation, we divided the international business that allowed us to work with the international customers in Russia instead of waiting expecting for someone to make products that we could sell our technologies to. We started working with companies that in all our experience, we will bring here, and they will become the technological integrators on themselves on the market of the virtual reality, also having an experience and competence in creating of the virtual reality. And thanks to the strategies of these Russian companies with experience of international, and then we studied how the Russian market worked and our colleagues, and I wanted to say that there is not some kind of a culture of the venture investment. No, it doesn't exist. Nevertheless, that economy our is state-oriented. We can consider it as a minus, but sometimes we can consider it as a plus, as a positive. Besides the fact, these facts, there are a lot of other different ways of support. Some micro loans that are under the high attention.
We've made a conclusion that we need to choose this mixed type. So in our case, in the case of Russia, it is co-financing from strategic partner, and all other stuff is supported by the government. And the government tries to do the same. They say that we need co-financing. And what does it give? So since there is no venture culture, a person cannot estimate his own project, but they cannot find this mutual language. So the state, the government made this thing. They created the model of these documentations that are oriented on the project, and then these materials, they can just show these materials to the investor. There is one more problem. Venture investor has no team of programmers. Abroad, they have some team of analytics, but here the situation is different. So abroad, you prepare some documentation and then you send it. In Russia, unfortunately, there are no such thing. So this documentation or materials that you can download somewhere and that can help you. We do not have that practice, unfortunately. And when investor can come and say that I have money, I want to invest them, and help to understand each other. And if these funds exist, I think that we need to talk about them a lot, that they exist. Thank you a lot. Here there is one more situation. We can talk about it, and we need to believe in it, whether it works and how it works. Thank you a lot. I would like to add that Victor has no high education.
Да, спасибо, Напомнили.
Thank you. You remembered me about it. You reminded me about that.
Это скорее система, да?
It is a system and practice. Many venture investors, many start-uppers
Принимают очень неплохие проекты.
that do great projects, they often has no high education. Maybe this is the secret of success. You don't need to get a higher education. So, dear colleagues, we have here with us
Партнер
a partner
венчурной компании
of venture company
Камуфлу,
Камуфлу, Pavel Sergeyevich. So, Pavel, are you with us? Yes, hello, Pavel Sergeyevich. You have a unique experience of managing
венчур, так скажем,
of
деньгами, как
venture, of money, how the state, how
НТИ,
the company
также и управление частными
and the managing of private venturing. What is the difference, and what do you need to know in interaction with other funds? So, dear colleagues, good afternoon. We manage several venture funds. We have 3 of them. We have private venture funds, and they need our active interaction as partners. And we have one more fund, mixed type of venture fund. We have this difficult mix that we should manage, but we learned how to work with that, but it was uneasy for us. So our opinion is that it depends not on the nature of the money, whether they are state money but it depends on the experience and professionalism of the colleagues that is abroad. For example, if it is a corporation who has no experience of working with venture funds, then it would be really hard to work with that corporation, with that company. So that's why it depends on the team of professionals. We see the development in the funds. And unfortunately, there are no many funds in Russia here. But the fact with working with this money, so if we look at Europe, so half of the money, they get half of the money from pension. And in Russia, the situation is different. So we have 7 or 8 years on the market of such experience. So that is why we should work with that. We need just to find the most optimal ways to avoid this bureaucratism. Kirill has said that there was no venture market in Russia, but we have the feeling that only in 2023 we have something that is similar to venture market. And it happens because of some factors. The first one is for some technological companies, so
and that part of the market went to Russian vendors. So the second is the liquidity. $500 million rubles came from the Russian market, and the estimation of the Astra and the positives, and etc. During the 2 or 3 years, we expect the boom of the IPO companies, of the middle capitalization, and it's a good approach for us in the terms of investments. So we have the market, we have the liquidity, and we have the company that is enough to work with them. And nevertheless, and the price of the loan money are really high. But on the other hand, there are different shortages of the trade grants of the developers. And those grants probably going to lead to that technological companies, the different funds, and through the venues or through the brokers that all do the deals on themselves. So these are the results. So thank you very much, and we also wanted to determine. So probably, nevertheless, we had our own market, and we have the increase of the keys.
So private companies look at the risk and profit, and will it affect on the market or not? Well, I think that it will depend on the level of inflation. If we look at Iran, it is a classic example of growing the market. People brought the money into real business in order to save their money and avoid inflation. So I think that we have much money in the country, and so everything that could be bought, it was bought. Thank you a lot.
Thank you very much. Thank you for a very positive point of view. Dear colleagues, we understand that, and it was mentioned today before, that one of the sources of the innovation of development traditionally are high schools, universities. Today we have the deputy and the helper of the Technological University, Eric Akhtemov, and the president assistant at Ufa State Petroleum Technological University. We wanted to ask you about how you receive the support and how many startups appear there, and how can we do it with the market. And one thing that we wanted to say there is the reports are really interesting, and let's try to get to fit into the time frame. Thank you, dear colleagues, dear friends. As we mentioned before at the previous reports, that last year huge attention gets paid to the science and the development of the new technologies. Petroleum University was one of the pioneers who were working on that problem, and a lot of development enterprises and the centers that are going to be presented here later. And it's all happening thanks to the support of the federal state and thanks to the state of the Republic. And as for today, dozens of such projects we have. How many startups do we have? Probably hundreds of them. One of the projects I would like to present to you today, my colleague, within the 2 minutes, Dushkov Alexey Vitalyevich. Thank you. Good evening, dear colleagues. And I wanted to talk about the situation that is happening not with our startups, but I represent the medical center of Vyshina that are in search of new technologies for the petroleum and the mountain industry. Even before the special operation, we had a huge problem in Crimea with water, and we received a task to receive the fresh water, pure spring water. But the problem was that membrane for the sea filters are developed only by the 4 companies in the world. So we didn't receive any. So we have a new program on the establishment of and the creation of the new technologies for filtration of the water, for water filtration. And the chemical compound of the lake is really interesting. And you can receive the spring water and the classical compounds, and our funds are enough to create from technological idea to the types of equipment at our scientific university to the black paint projects. And there are people who are interested in the projects. For example, the city of Moscow. The project on itself is really on the different levels, and can chemicals, yes, these chemicals, and to make the projects, and that's all. But we don't have enough our own funds, and even sometimes our Republican funds even cannot afford. So this is the situation. On the one hand, it illustrates how the system works on the implementation of such startups, but we are on the constant search of sources of finance. So today it appeared so that in a couple of reports we'll have the representative of the road fund that it's seeing reagents, chemicals goes up to 100,000 tons per year. So for the huge scale realization and implementation, it's impossible to implement new venture funds. And it was mentioned before that huge state corporations, it's not a bad structure as city of Moscow. Thank you very much. That was very interesting. I'd like to say at the end that thanks to Petroleum University has a huge experience, and it also work with Gazprom, but nevertheless it's working experience with the state corporations, but we don't have experience in work with the venture companies. And how many projects do we have? And we only discussed only about one of them, but we have dozens of them. We have like 10 of these such corporations of the mountain and rock getting companies and industry. So that's why we're open for cooperation and we are ready to work. Thank you.
Thank you a lot. We see that the universities are very interested in the projects, in the development of projects, and there are 2 models. I know that there are more of them that work with startups, and they look for financing. So, so-called American model. And there is a university, there are active students, and there is a platform where there are a lot of venture funds, and the students can just cross the road and go to that fund. And there is a European model when there is a university, and inside the university there is a team that work with different faculties and tries to understand the potential and try to promote this potential. I guess we have this European model. I will change the sequence of speakers now. As I'd like to ask Yudin Nikolai
коль уж вам
to have the floor.
да, во-первых, отреагировать на него, ну и
So you need to react to that offer that was made and tell us about the development of university and your experience of support the universities. How many projects have you supported? So please tell us about it. Good afternoon, dear colleagues. Do you hear me?
да, все хорошо.
Yes. I have a presentation. I will demonstrate it on the screen if you don't mind.
Теперь участникам видно ваше приложение. Вы запустили демонстрацию экрана. Ваша демонстрация экрана приостановлена. Вы запустили демонстрацию экрана.
Буквально
So, just some words about our fund team, about how it appeared, and from what have we started. So, this is a great structure that includes many companies, departments, and very often we have young startups, young teams with startups that come to us with their own decisions. About different directions. And these in 2021, we opened a fund, Transport Innovations of Moscow, and we discussed their different decisions that young teams offered us, and to get support from the fund. We're a non-commercial organization, and we have investment team under our control, and
я
so I will skip some slides. And I will tell you more about our work, about how we work with these innovations and what we have in this fund. We have various, despite the fact that we are quite a small company, we have a broad direction of our work. We work with the investments. We analyze the company, taking into consideration the investments. We also do this function of we look for opportunities to make some agreements. We support them on different stages. We also work with domestic innovations. There is a mix of events that has startups and our partners, and we also actively develop the international cooperation and transport alliance. About our products, we have our transport laboratory. We, as I have already mentioned, we host hackathon events. We collect all the needs from Moscow Transport. We have transport alliance of different companies, transport companies. You see them on the slide. And we also do analysis once a month on our website on Digest. We collect all the information about transfer sphere. So I will speak numbers.
We also checked the 1,087 startups in 2022. We also studied different other companies. Some they say like it's really hard to work with the state customers, and we feel all those, and we did all the mistakes that probably were mentioned in this conference. Of course, we try to implement the experience of others and use it in the positive way, not negative way. And it's not simple to make the new deal, new contracts in such structures. And in 2022, and with our companies, we have 2 investment deals that was done with the Sinara companies. Briefly, we also do the events in our company. We also provide events in our city, development venues or the industries of the electrical buses. We also do the big sessions of different formats, or the speed dating format, like the speed dating app. Also took such events for the startups when they were receiving their feedback from different experts or from different organizations of the Moscow Organization of Transport. We also do the online events, including such as startup marathons. That project was included in the list of the best ideas, and we also interchanged our experience with different life hacks. And with some unusual cases or that type of events will also take place. We also developed the Transport Alliance. We have different very famous companies that not need to be presented once again. And we also developed the Transport Laboratory, where we also study the new business models with our partners. It can be the business models in the transportational business or some co-infrastructure. And these all are on the joint of the realization and implementation of these ideas. Well, probably that's all about our fund. And that's all that we can say with the presentation. What's on the digest of the transportational innovations? You can subscribe on our website, and you will receive monthly
Ваша демонстрация экрана.
what you're gonna say, what you're gonna answer is gonna be. So I'm gonna explain my logic. So the offer is really, of course, send me your offers, and we will take into consideration all your projects. But you have to understand that fund is not that unique mechanic that give you some contract. But because I'm gonna be honest, there are a lot of demands and inquiries, so we're touching the topic of the conference, but it's not on a price list format. We are an innovation company, so here's our price list. To be honest, it's not very like that, I would say, because it's not about the volume of the market. It's about the companies being on some different industrial volumetric volumes. So what's about that? These are the cooperational. I heard you about this and about other thing. I'll finish my point. Of course, the demands on the format or the representation of some contracts or the city contract. We are really skeptical on it. And also we do help and give a hand to work with the organizations, and if the goods are really good, if it's allowed to receive different points on the industry exchange. And of course we can help really freely, and there are cases where we received and we could implement the projects really successfully. And you can receive our contacts on the moderator, and we can work together with pleasure together.
So we continue our dialogue with the participants of venture market. We have today a venture partner of Vashort company, Konstantin Vasilyevich. Konstantin, you manage this venture fund. You are and you were a large player on our market. Could you tell us, please, your vision of the prospects of that direction? How, whether you are optimistic about that? Do you hear me, colleagues? Do you hear me? Yes, we can hear you. So that's great. Thank you a lot for an opportunity to have a speech today. I don't repeat many of you. The colleagues have already told about many aspects of that topic. We see that nowadays on the Russian market, despite all the restrictions that occurred because of the situation, with export situation, with entering the international market, we have a unique positive situation on the Russian venture market because effective innovation, technological decisions become relevant. As Pavel has said, in some sectors like microelectronics, for example, or medical technologies, in that areas, for companies, there are many opportunities in that areas for companies. As startups, they activize, they promptly pass the stages of entering the market, of making agreements, and they do it very promptly, as it was more promptly like it was before, and we all understand why. We have our own
что-то производит арендную базу, у всех стоял западный софт, западные решения.
So, and everything was really effective, and everything worked. But at one point, we were switched off. So at that market, we have to survive somehow. So if we return back to the main thesis, we see huge perspectives, and we understand that there are a lot of opportunities, the intellectual potential that is forming in our country or was formed thanks to the help of our state. It can be realized and implemented successfully. We can see that state also activated in that approach and also do the right steps in that approach. And Kirill Kayan also mentioned that these stimulating measures that growing on the venture business. We can see that Ministry of Education also works actively on the innovational projects on the early stages through different mechanics. As for ourselves, as the private investors, we manage and control the private capital, and we also take into consideration and also try to multiply that effect. And at the moment, we have 10 billion rubles under control and 2.5 billion through less than 2.5 billion we invested in 5 projects. We have a wide range of technological mandates of investment, and the receipts of the investment up to 10 million rubles and up to 700 millions. So we invest money actively, and we are looking forward with positively, and we understand that to invest the ventures, we need the right competences. It's good when market opens for the regular personas through different platforms for different projects. And for example, as for us, we are as managers. We spend a lot of time, most 100% of our time, on the administration of the cases, and our investment return is provided through the case approach. And we pay attention that we can get investment money to which startups, and we see that it's better to do it through the qualified professionals, investors. And then what's the point of the thesis? There are a lot of investment approaches in the market right now, but as was mentioned before, it's not the problem. Not money is not the problem. The startups to be required, there is demand for the support of state and the support of other business, of such teams, like in the institution of development, like Skolkovo institutions, which they have a professional team that allow to make startups through the different stages of development, and venture investment funds. They give not only the money, but also invest their intellectual work to the startup, or would pass different difficult stages of finishing of the prototypes and the exits of the industrial items. And speaking briefly, it's another bad opportunity to develop our homemade innovations. Thank you very much. It's a really huge pleasure to listen to you and to know that we have a lot of teams, and it's under the high deficiency. And one more question is, are you ready right now to participate in the discussion on the development of the new forms of supports of the innovational economy or in the technological startups? From your experience, that are getting on that is under the development, and about the concept of technological development of our country.
Yes, of course, I will be very glad to do it. Okay, thank you a lot. Sorry. Let's get back to practice of startups, the companies that could develop and to develop their niche. And recently, we have here Vyacheslav Yuryevich, Vladislav Chestakov from Dom Bez Zabot LLC. So you have a great share of the market now. How did it happen? We had a very difficult path. The pandemic showed how to develop further, how to make projects better, how not to depend on the factors such pandemic, dollar. So during the pandemic, all workers went to work from home, and it was the same for us. So the experience we got our experience from 2018. We had really difficult moments, and in order to scale our project, we didn't trust this model. And what should be done? We should create a product with a minimum staff, with a team of technical support. At that time, we had plus 10 personnel a month at that time. In 2023, we attracted investors. We protected our project. We make private investors to believe in us, and we got the result that we are talking about now. So the market is really wide. We had marketplaces, and now we have more than 10,000 specialists that are ready to work. And we have estimated our competitors. We took the best from them, and now we integrate the things that they don't have, and we make this project easy to use and good. And in order to and we need these venture investments in order to make our project bigger. And thank you, Ramilevich, for inviting us today. Maybe some of us will be interested in that. It is hard to call it like a startup, and our users are very interested in our project. Now we have 78 users. So I guess this is it. Thank you a lot. And I have a question. How did you attract these 30 millions? So you sold the company's share, right? Yes. Thank you. Thank you a lot. So, and we have one more guest online. So it is Nick Bereza right now. The experience of non-Russian venture investment. Now he is in Dubai, but he is familiar with our market. Nick, thank you very much for joining us today. So what is your vision of making business in Russia and abroad? Tell us about your experience in Dubai, and what can you say? Why do you develop in Dubai and not in Russia? What can you say about it? So, good afternoon, dear colleagues. I'm glad to be here right now. So, I will broaden my screen right now. So, do you see my screen? Yes, we do. I will give you some context. So I was offered to
that on the market of the venture sphere, there is no understanding of the culture. How to separate it from the syndicate and the venture studio? And if we call it with its name, we built a syndicate that through the group investments allow us to make new capital. and it's called Afford Capital, and we created more than 1,000 startups. We have a huge consolidated IPO and PI, and we can understand what's happening and all the other different parameters and how do they work. I have my evaluation system of the startups and how do we evaluate the projects on the 12 levels. Each level, each layer has its amount of points. And I'm telling you for so you can understand so you can understand what's happening here on the screen. And as a director, I created all the architecture and all the business logic, and the key PI system also was created by me. And when I started working with venture, I was making that work all my life. And what we create is like a Tinder for the venture companies, where startups also get acquainted with investors, with different specialists on different parameters. Neural network also help to determine and separate such people. And our colleagues, the first problem was that there is a problem with the exit. You can make like 10 or 20 X's on the paper. Or you can make a save, convert the shares, or make the projects and or resell it further. There is no such infrastructure, and we are solving that problem. And in our application, you can quit easily. And the second problem is that including Russian entrepreneurs, we have more than 20 entrepreneurs, investors from Russia, and they can't quite understand how to evaluate their projects and what parameters to pay attention to. And it requires a huge amount of resources. But analytics, the Afford company, also helps to gather the different information from different places like Google or other big resources where neural networks can the tendency and the sentiments on the market. As I understood, it was a professional community. Studies the Google, they study the Yandex to give the green flags or the red flags or yellow flags and give the different points. And the third problem is global, that mass investor, he doesn't have the some environment, and he's need a foundation to understand some basic things, to see what projects and what business models there are. So now, answering your question, if I understood it correctly, what perspectives do I see in Russian ventures, right? Yes. What perspectives do I see and advantages do I see in Russian ventures? And another problem for international startups. For example, for us for the startup, there's a huge risk because we try.
And we have a risk. So if Russian investor, if it is a Russian investor, it can be a red flag. I think my colleagues understand me. It is quite a problem, actually. We have many requests. But if we talk about the prospects of Russian venture, it's not an easy thing. We need to transport these technologies that already showed themselves. And the second thing is to implement import substitution. Those companies that left Russia, we should make an analogs of the countries that left Russia. And the third thing is education. I believe that so the launching of venture can be implemented by education or venture investment. So in our app, you can make this order, and there are many technical issues there, but we know how to do it. And if somebody has implemented that in Russia, it would be a very great launching. Thank you a lot. Can I ask you one more question? Are you ready to invest in a Russian startup? Well, we have more than 50% of users that are from Russian. They are Russian speakers. Well, it's not the same. Can you invest in the project invest in the Russian project? No, I'm not ready, because we focus on creating. I don't waste my resource on investment. So my answer is no, then yes. Well, thank you a lot. Thank you for an honest answer and for the information you provided. It was a very interesting project. And in conclusion, I'd like to give the floor to the host of today's event of the round table, Valery Amirovich. You manage of state venture funds. First of all, how did you manage to survive in all that? And the second is your vision of the prospects of venture funding. Do you see any threats? So my answer to the first question, I was just lucky. It was a coincidence, really. So since 2006, we exist, and we have done all the mistakes that could be done. We lost much money, but it was worth it. But now we are discussing that we are missing something, and we understand in what we don't need to invest. We've made some mistakes, and we're ready to act. And the second, my answer, what is classical venture? First of all, it is much money and many requests. So the government is not a customer. We don't have any of that now. And now we try to look into the future. So this year and last year, it was the decrease of venture investments. For me, it is obvious because all the money that were in Russia, they were here and there. They were mostly in the West. And now all this money, they are blocked. And all these years, people were trying to get this money back. But now we earn money in Russia, and it is safer in Russia. And now we have much space on the market, and now we have people that know how to do. And all.
Но это скончится. Потом мы опять упремся в дефицит идей. Примерно 20. Что происходит?
So what is happening with money? They are in Russia, and we cannot spend this money. At first, they invest money in assets, but like it was in 90s, we had the same situation, I guess. And I was a student at that time, and we decided to make jeans. So, and this money,
Они все дееспособны.
they are active, they need to do something. People need to do something with that money. And if something doesn't work, it's okay. And I think we're getting this moment now. People keep telling me, like, if you have an interesting project, you can suggest it to me. I'm ready to invest in that. So I don't see private money as a problem. The problem is that 80% of economy is the government, and
Сегодня начальника поменяли, все полетело вниз. Понимаете, да? Какие-то законы отменили, приняли, все полетело.
some laws are cancelled and everything is changing. We have what we have.
Просто едешь своего учетом. Есть специальный опыт.
We have this experience, and
Соответственно, есть два.
so there are 2 or 3 types of people. There are people who come and tell me that I would like to give these projects, these huge projects. And if there are people who want the whole world, you would ask, what world? So I think that the nearest 30 years, we are not going to be friends with America. And
Мы там, у нас сейчас в системе нету опыта.
we do not have the experience of integrating in that market. And if you enter European market or China, and you have 1.5 billion of consumers there, so you will succeed there. 20% of the economy, they stay. These are stable business, but all these industrial companies, we should talk to that companies. And they always have people that want to grow with that project. You just need to analyze the team, how we make the decisions. We divide into 4 stages. The first, if there is no market, we don't do it. Victor knows about that. If we have no market, we do not need to invest money. The second, the team, not the technology. If the leader of the team are ready to do that, and if you are a teacher of the university, just come and tell you about it. And when you ask him whether you are ready to quit from the university, he thinks and refuses to do that. Like the example of Ishbaev, he quitted and now and he succeeded. And
for example, if I meet a senior-age person who is 70 years old, but he has the heart attack, and now he becomes out of forces to conduct the talks further on, to conduct the business further. So that's the way how we have to close everything. If we have a person, we see the person who is 70 years old, of course it's not about the money to conduct. Then we consider the technologies. These technologies should not be better than your neighbors. You need to make the best in the world. It's not about making the competition in between two neighbors. Only after you realize that you need to be best of the best, you can do the financing part. Many people, many accountants are involved into this Excel tables. So we are only about market, team, technologies, and then money. So you see how much forces do you need to conduct such business. We have analyzed more than 1,300 different projects, and then they got it for the expertise, 20 of them, but financed only 2 of them. So this year, I have considered more than 50 projects, but only 5 of them are ready to be implemented soon and ready to be invested. And of course, we also need to have the right to risk. In order to reduce these risks, we decided to do it this way. So I, for example, provide 20 million, and also a strategic investor who also provides 20 million. And all in all, we have 40 million. And then we go to the fund and also add 20 or 30% of our money. And that's the grant money that you need for the account. So also investor provides the 20 million and me now providing 20 million. So if I have lost something, so I can see that those people have also lost. That's the defensive reaction that I can have. Another thing is that I have found the student startups over there. It's also so cool. They're bursting out. All of them are workouts of the teachers who don't want to leave the universities, and all of the student startups around the country, they have quite low rates. And right now in this studio we have 95 million rubles, which are free. We are all entrepreneurs. Just take a student, give the money, he would make it a package, then he goes to the venture fund, and that's the way how he would get the strategy. Of course, he would receive money, but this money should also be paid back 1-to-1. So if you get 100 million, you need to pay 100 million back. And in 10 years, it would be quite different amount due to the rates. I got into this for not long ago, I could say. So it's easy just to say to a student, like, you will get the job if you'll do this, this, and that, and it would be possible. So I could say that there are lots of tools which are provided by the state. The reason is that you need to use these instruments because somebody would get this money. If you don't want to do that, so your competitor would do that, your opponent would do that. That's all that I wanted to present, that's all. Thank you very much, distinguished colleagues, that we have a lot of optimistic tunes than pessimistic ideas, but we all agree that we have some problems with our market. But we have a chance, and that's what we are grateful for. Undoubtedly, we want our venture capital market to become mature, but it would become mature only if we'll have mature partners, start-uppers, also developers and scientists who are ready to talk the same language. And venture investors and venture funds, it's not about the money to be sent and waiting for the team to find out the ways how to work it out. Of course, the venture investor is somebody who is involved into business because he brings competences, also intellectual potential, ties, and he is responsible for this business. He is involved into it. That's the way how he becomes the owner of this business. That's the way why I asked today if venture companies are ready to develop support message, not only say what they want and need, because it's quite another story. Thank you very much for the participation. If you have any questions, we are open to answer them. So if you have no questions, you can see the QR codes there on the screen. You can follow this QR code and give the feedback for you. How do you see the day after tomorrow? Here you can share your position, maybe some of your forecasts. And that's the way how we will build up one of the best images of our future. Thank you very much.